Hello, and welcome to a new week with the electric trucker. My week is off to a great start. My battery is preconditioned, it's not too cold, and I already know where to go. Last week I loaded the trailer with roof tiles, and today I'm delivering them to a hardware store in the area about an hour away. I'm unloaded and on my way back to Oldenburg. In the last video I mentioned that this forklift tour was actually planned for 2 trucks, but since the goods weren't entirely ready, the second truck was cancelled. Today I'm delivering the second batch myself, which is very convenient because I already know where I'm going and where I need to unload. But I can't unload today anymore since I wouldn't make it in time, so I'll do it tomorrow morning at 7. That means I can take my time, which is important when using the forklift. I just hope it hasn't rained too much because I've noticed that the forklift struggles with traction on gravel surfaces. Last time it was a muddy area, and if it's too wet, I might have trouble getting around. Passt, oder? The trailer is loaded, and it was crucial to place the mesh boxes over the axle to distribute the weight properly. You can see that I had to stack a third layer, which was tricky because those things are way heavier than they look. I had to fully extend the stabilizer feet, but it also means I couldn't get close to the trailer. I was an hour faster this time, so the learning curve has been huge, and it's actually a lot of fun. Some people asked about the license plate since it's not visible at the back once everything is loaded. I only have an electric trucker sign at the bottom, and the actual plates are mounted on the top right. Technically, there are height regulations for license plates, but with so many different trailers and forklifts, many trucking companies go with this more practical solution. Everything worked out range-wise, and I even had a bit of a tailwind. But in terms of driving hours, it didn't work out, so I had to stop here in Braunschweig. Since I'm already parked, I might as well plug in for a bit and won't have to charge a lot later on. This charging spot is pretty nice. It's easy to access, but we're not getting the full charging power. Now the day is done. I'm at Ionity charging at 341 kilowatts, just the way it should be. And my Iveco just notified me of a software update that will add the hotel mode. The truck doesn't have a stationary heater, but now it has. Basically, this update lets you activate a heating mode for the cabin at night. I'll install it tomorrow. Tonight isn't that cold and I'm too tired to deal with it now. I'll take a quick walk and then get some rest. Tomorrow morning at 7, I'll deliver the cargo and see what the day brings. Here in Hohenwalsleben are these Shell charging stations that replace the gas station pumps, but they are still not operational. At least they have power, so it looks like they're almost ready. Maybe they just haven't scheduled someone to remove the fence. I'm done unloading, and they just got a forklift delivered in a tridem. You've probably heard of tandem, which means 2 axles in the back, but this one has 3. You don't see it often, but it's great for transporting really heavy loads. I installed the update, and it only took 5 minutes. You can now see the hotel mode icon at the top of the home screen. And turns out what I've been doing for the past few months was technically illegal. Officially, it was forbidden to sleep in the cabin. There were 2 reasons for this rule. First, the truck didn't have an official stand heater. You could leave it running, but according to workplace safety regulations, a stand heater has to function independently of the engine. It's an old-school diesel mindset which makes no sense here. The second reason was battery monitoring. If you're sleeping in the truck while it's off, The system wouldn't continuously check the battery for issues like overvoltage or overheating. In the worst-case scenario, the driver wouldn't get a warning. But if the truck is on, it monitors the battery, so that argument didn't really hold up. But both issues are now fixed. With hotel mode, the truck meets the stand heater requirement and keeps monitoring the battery. To activate it, you turn on the ignition, press the brake, and start it. The orange indicator disappears, meaning the batteries are now active. Now it's in ready mode, and I can enable hotel mode. The system automatically shuts off when the battery level drops below 10%, which I think is reasonable. Also, I can't drive with hotel mode on. I have to disable it manually first. But most importantly, the lights stay off, which is a basic but crucial function. The battery is being climate controlled in this mode, but that could be adjusted with a future update. I think the name is pretty cool. Hotel mode sounds kind of fancy. Now I'm off to pick up a partial load in Hamburg. After that, I'll fill up the trailer at another supplier, and then everything heads to Norden near our depot. I'll probably stop there overnight to charge. On my way to Hamburg, I'm driving a lot of country roads, which is actually fun. It's more varied, and it's also great for energy consumption. Lower speeds and frequent deceleration don't affect the e-truck as much, since it regenerates energy. This is the opposite of a diesel truck, which is more efficient on the highway due to steady cruising. I'm at exactly 1.0 kilowatt hours per kilometer, which is fantastic. One more thought. The truck's range estimate is super pessimistic and not very reliable. It only uses historical data because the truck doesn't know where I'm going. Many navigation systems still aren't integrated with range calculations, but more EVs are starting to support external data. But we have so much tech at our fingertips that you can work around it, like using an AI assistant while driving. Hey Gemini, I'm driving from Hamburg to Leer. Do I have headwind or tailwind?
You have a light tailwind.
Jackpot. This info is super valuable. If it had been headwind instead, I'd have adjusted my plan. Hopefully in a few years, trucks will do this automatically. I'm taking a short driving and charging break here in Hamburg Moorfleet. I've got company too. From here, it's a 10-minute drive to my first stop where I'll pick up the partial load. In the meantime, I'm making myself some lunch. I always make these vegan wraps that are super tasty, and since I was in Berchtesgaden, they tasted even better because I can add some herbal salt. I'm in an industrial area in Hamburg, and I was at this huge warehouse with 2 big ramps. Ramps and forklifts don't mix well. Normally, I'd have to take the forklift off, park it, reverse the truck, load the trailer, and afterwards hook the forklift back up. Instead, I kindly asked if they could load it outside from the side so the forklift can stay attached, and they actually did. This way was much more convenient, and now I can make it in time for the second loading point. Second loading went well, and I now have 20 tons of cargo plus the forklift. I'll unload it tomorrow morning. Today, 1 mid-trip charge was more than enough. As long as I can charge at the full 300 kilowatts, it all works out. 300 kilowatts, or slightly less, is enough for daily operation. The charging stations just need to be reliable. For my use case, megawatt charging is not necessary. I've arrived in Leer and my battery is at 33%. In my last video, I talked about my plans to convert the Citroën C6 to electric. It was just a dream, just an idea. But now I've received some emails from people who have already done EV conversions, and their messages are really motivating. So I'm diving deeper into this. It's totally possible to do, but the inspection is a big deal. It's best to use an inverter and motor from a vehicle where they were already working together instead of mixing random parts. For now, I'll list all the components I need, look for a donor car, and think everything through. This could make for some really cool content, but of course cost is always a factor. I could spend some more money and hand everything over to a conversion shop, but sourcing parts myself, planning the setup, and getting help here and there is a lot more interesting, and I would learn a lot about it. And keeping the manual transmission and bolting an electric motor onto it is also outdated. Modern drive units, like Tesla's, combine the motor and reduction gearbox into a single unit, making everything simpler. Another key decision is how much effort to put into battery packaging. You could just throw the cells in, but after one fast charge, they'll overheat and won't cool down properly. So battery cooling is crucial, especially for handling multiple fast charging sessions. These are the same challenges every EV manufacturer has to deal with. Just talking about this makes me excited. I'll keep sharing my thoughts and updated about it with you. But for now, I'm off to bed. First unloading is done. Now I'll empty the trailer and head to Emden. At 11, I have an appointment at a construction site in Leer for another forklift loading. Since it's a scheduled appointment, there's a bit of time pressure. Something I had to look up is the different colors of a CMR consignment note. Each color represents a different copy, but in my experience, Everyone just gets a black and white copy. As long as everyone has one, that's what really matters. But there are official colors, and when you never use them, you just forget. I just asked the AI, and the CMR consignment note has 4 colors: white for the sender, pink for the shipper, blue for the recipient, and green for the carrier. There just was this super tight roundabout and I had to take the first exit, but there was a small traffic island making it impossible to get through. I got out of the truck and asked someone who was nearby if they could watch for me. Turns out the person I asked drives trucks too and gave me an awesome tip. If you have to take the first exit in a tight roundabout and there's enough space, just go all the way around once. That way you get a much better angle to exit. No one ever told me that before, but it worked perfectly. Since I'm already in Leer, I'm taking my lunch break here while charging the forklift and truck. I was thinking about leaving the forklift here since I don't need it for unloading, but I probably have another tour tomorrow where I'll need it again. I didn't make it to Hohenwarsleben this time because of a traffic jam, and it's already 6. But I found a parking spot here in Königslutter, and now I'm charging up for a bit. The truck was super efficient, and I could have made it in one go. But time-wise, it didn't work out. Despite a traffic jam at the same spot as yesterday, I made it in time. Next destination is Bremen, where I have 2 construction sites from which I'll pick up more cargo to bring back here. I'm making a quick charging and driving break at this small Ionity park with 4 chargers, but the truck parking spots are way in the back. I temporarily parked in a spot reserved for heavy transport. Those guys usually drive at night, so if no heavy transport is here right now, there won't be one coming anytime soon. Plus, the spot is super long, and dropping the trailer off close by makes things way more convenient. Here is a thought for charging station operators. If the chargers are wide enough so both cars and trucks could use the same stations, it would be the perfect business model. You'd get high utilization from cars on the weekend, and during the week and at night, trucks would take over. It's a perfect fit as long as there's enough space to park the trailers nearby. I need to get to this construction site, but there's a 12-ton limit. Even though I'm empty, I can't just ignore it. Normally, it's clearly marked, and I wouldn't have come this way if I knew. I've had situations before where it says residents only, and you can still pass, but this time it didn't work out. This is turning into quite the adventure. This access road has an impassable curve radius, and if you look closely, it's actually limited to 6 tons, worse than the 12 tons. The access from the east has the 12-ton bridge, and from the west, there's this tight curve, and then a 6-ton limit. I could go through the residential area from the south, but further ahead, there's another 12-ton limit. On Google Street View, you have to check a bit further ahead and behind, as the signs are often placed at the last turn point. The other option now is to stop at this gravel area, but that's nearly a kilometer away, so I'd be driving the forklift back and forth all day. I don't know what's going on today, but there's another 12-ton limit that the GPS doesn't know about. The destination is just 100 meters ahead, but everything around here is restricted. Just because I managed to get on the premises doesn't mean it's any easier. Now it's really getting tight around these corners. Alter Vater. This is the wildest work I've done so far on this muddy parking lot with uneven ground. I've got half the trailer loaded now, but I'm not sure if everything's going to fit. I'd be glad if it were already over, but that was only the first half. We're on the move now, and the construction crew is following me. We had to come up with a special solution because we couldn't get to the other loading area. The solution is that a colleague of mine came by with a forklift. He has to help out because I'd never finish today otherwise. It would take hours. And sadly, I have to be honest, my electric forklift wouldn't make it as it's already down to 50%. The battery is the limiting factor, and this forklift has a hydraulic drive which is super inefficient. If it had electric motors, it would be a different story. We ended up having a misunderstanding. The guy helping me out was supposed to bring me the pallets, but he ended up loading them instead. We talked it through and are heading to a spot in the industrial area where we can move pallets. I have to say this has been a horrible day. I've been busy the whole time and it's the middle of the night now. I'm exhausted. And what's frustrating is that I worked so hard, all the way until late at night, and then not everything would fit on the trailer. The pipe holders have such odd dimensions that they don't fit between the two standard pallets. Now I take my rest here and can finally go to bed. A new day begins. The night was refreshing, and now the world looks completely different. My battery is at 53%, and I used the hotel mode last night for a while, but not through the entire night, as it's not that cold. I'm making a 45-minute charging stop in Braunschweig now. I have 9% left in the battery, but it's no longer about range anxiety, but more about range reliability. Reliability is an issue at the charging stations because you never get the full charging power. But I'm 100% sure I'll make it there. It's only 8.5 kilometers left. But when the battery hits 6%, it starts limiting the power, reducing it to 55 kilometers per hour. Suddenly, the relaxed situation I was in becomes very dangerous because you're blocking the highway even though there's no real need for it. I get that they want to make sure the truck can keep going, but there are many situations where I'm paying for the full 550 kilowatt hours to be usable, and I'd like to use them to get to my destination. The 6% buffer is already quite large. I'm charging now alongside another truck, and a Cupra driver parked at my charging station, so I spoke to him because I really need the maximum charging power. He said, "Oh, I didn't see the sign." But he did, because he moved it away from the screen. It's always amusing when you catch people lying, but no hard feelings. The last unloading is in progress, and this time it's being done with 2 forklifts. And another insight from yesterday is that the trailer should be as level as possible. I never thought about that before, but I had the issue yesterday when the back of the trailer dropped too much, while the front remained normal. It made the trailer tilt a bit. The forklift stays level, but it can be tricky to get the forks out. So, using the air suspension, either lowering the front or raising the rear can help balance things out. From a forklift operator's perspective, it really makes a difference. Some interesting news from the charging station in Braunschweig where I was earlier. I asked why the charging power there is always lower, and it turns out that the grid connection is limited, so all the charging stations are capped at 230 kilowatts. That's not really a problem, it's just good to know. What I'm surprised by is that the power is always capped at 230 kilowatts. I wonder if anyone there has heard of dynamic load management. It's not a new concept to distribute the available power dynamically across the charging stations. If there's 1,000 kilowatts available and 5 charging stations, you could set them all to 200 kilowatts to stay within the limit. But if one station needs to charge at 300 kilowatts and no one else is charging, it's still within the 1,000 kilowatt limit, and it would be a smart idea to distribute the power dynamically. Only when all stations are occupied, it would reduce the charging speed. This should be a common practice for all charging point operators. And the second piece of news isn't as good. I wanted to hang up my sign, but I forgot it. I'm pretty sure I left it at the charging station, so I called the gas station. The response was kind of funny. He just said, "Yeah, I have it here under the counter," as if it's the most normal thing in the world. I've talked about hybrid charging parks before for cars and trucks. It's also true that if companies like Milence build huge truck charging parks, no one will be charging there on Sundays. And Sundays are actually the days when most cars charge. It's economically silly to not let cars in because trucks don't need to charge on Sunday. So here's my theory. All truck charging park operators will come up with some sort of Sunday special. You wouldn't block off the charging park for ideological reasons if people could just stop by and use it. Plus, this would also ease the vacation travel situation. I've arrived at my destination, and the Iveco was super efficient, with a consumption of just 1.1 kilowatt hours. I still have 12% left in the battery. This confirms what I thought in the last episode. Never stay too long at the charging station, just get moving. It's Saturday, and I've made sure the truck is in top shape and cleaned so that future Tobias can be happy about it. And I received fan mail again. I got a lovely card from Alex and Maria, who always watch my videos on Sundays. They also gifted me some dog food, so a big thank you to them. And Marcus sent me a folding rule. And here's the wild part. In my last video I mentioned how I only have one pair of pants. Marcus not only gave me some sweets, but he also gifted me a pair of pants. And not just any pair, but the exact one I mentioned in the video. That's amazing. A huge, huge thank you for that. And my eTrucker app is also making progress. We now have the first prototype. It helps estimate routes accurately and finds charging stations along the way. One feature is that you get an overview of the entire route, where all the charging stations are, and it shows you when you'll arrive at each one based on your driving time. Sometimes it's not the driving time that's the critical point, but the range. You can switch the view here at the top to see where the charging stations are in terms of range, giving you a better overview. This way you have way less to worry about finding charging stations and can just focus on driving. And thank you so much for the support. It's amazing to see how the channel has grown over the last months and how Sundays have become a routine for people to watch my videos. The next few weeks will also be exciting. There's a trip to England coming up. Then I'll be doing a hazardous goods test. I'll see what kind of dangerous cargo an electric truck can actually transport. And if you want to see the videos a few days earlier, you can subscribe to the channel's membership, which would also really help the channel. Thanks again for the support, and see you next time.